As a part of my living room decor, I have two bowls of rocks. Of course, this is lovelier than it sounds. The bowls are glass antiques from my Aunt Ruth's collection, and the rocks are all polished and colorful. But these aren't just rocks. They represent a bowl full of treasured memories created with my dad, markers of time spent together. We'll talk more about this in a moment. I'm Gem Fadling, and it's time for I Can Do That. Back to collecting rocks. Now, whether we were hiking in the woods, fishing in the river, or on vacation, my dad and I would pick up a rock or two and add it to our collection. Now, once we had gathered enough rocks, we would load up our rock polisher to turn these plain stones into tiny jewels. So special to me was this pile of rocks that I would invite visitors to our home to go through the rocks with me one by one. My nerdy elementary school-aged little hand would pull them out one by one, rehashing where I was when I found it and how it reminded me of a stag's head or a tooth, and on and on. With an attentive face and lots of wows and mm-hms, friends and family would enter into the fascination with me. But I can only imagine what everyone might have actually been thinking. Why am I looking through and trying to be excited about a pile of rocks? To me, they were great discoveries and treasures to be revisited. To others, they may have just been rocks. Well, if we turn our focus for a moment to Genesis 12, God called Abram and told him, "Go from your country. I will make you into a great nation." And when Abram arrived at Shechem, he built an altar to the Lord. Just a pile of rocks to some, but for Abram, it was an expression of praise to and remembrance of the Lord who had appeared to him. Abram then made his way to the area of Bethel and Ai, and again, he built an altar and called upon God. Just a pile of rocks? No, a lot more than that. Now in Genesis 13, Abram had just given Lot his choice of the land, and then Abram heard from God again. Look around from where you are to the north and south, to the east and west. All the land that you see, I will give you and your offspring forever. Abram's response? Another pile of rocks made into an altar so he could worship God. In Genesis 22, we find the most disturbing of altars. Abram, now Abraham, has been instructed to sacrifice his own son, Isaac. This pile of rocks would hold wood and, evidently, his son. As we know, this is a story of Abraham's heart and of God's provision, but certainly at the time, Abraham's faith was tested to the core. Each of these altars, these piles of rocks, were symbols of Abraham's worship of God along his journey. In your own life, what encounters and conversations with God are you collecting? How has your faith been stretched? What might it look like to build many altars of remembrance, if only in your own heart and mind? To some, these encounters may seem like just a pile of rocks. But your moments with God are real and meaningful, and you get to treasure them forever. So, just like my dad and I encourage you to keep collecting your rocks, better known as your with God stories. Recall them, polish them up, keep them close at hand, and be sure to share them with others. My guess is they will be more encouraged than you know. Here's your I Can Do That for this week. Let's revisit the questions I asked. First, in your own life, what encounters and conversations with God are you collecting? How has your own faith been stretched? And what might it look like to build many altars of remembrance, if only in your own heart and mind? Maybe spend some time journaling or in prayer on these questions. And remember, You're making your way forward one small, simple, and gracious step at a time. Now, how would you like 6 days of soul care coaching, just like these episodes, but sent directly to your inbox? 6 days covering important areas of your life: foundational, spiritual, emotional and mental, relational, physical, and vocational. I would love to encourage you in all these areas. So go now to unhurriedliving.com/6days. That's SIXDAYS, 6 days, and get started on this free mini coaching session.